Obviously, I think our break has come at a good time. Took Sunday off after Iowa, and then practice Monday, Tuesday, had yesterday off, and then obviously go today and tomorrow before we head down to West Lafayette. But I think comes at a good time in terms of being able to, rest up a little bit, catch our breath, try to get healthier, even though at this point in time in the year, everybody has, some bumps and bruises. And as I always say, if something doesn't hurt at this time of year, you probably haven't played hard enough. So looking forward to Saturday. Obviously a really good team. Matt's done it again in terms of putting together a really good team after losing Edie. Maybe the best point guard in the country in Braden Smith, and then other guys that have developed and have stepped into their role. And obviously I don't think Foster Lawyer's a role guy. He's played there since the day he was on campus, but the evolution of Kaufman Wren, and obviously Caleb First has been there, and others with C.J. Cox and Miles Coven that have played now here as freshmen, and Raleigh Burgess, another freshman that's come in and played. So, like I said, Smith is really good with his ability to control the ball and play in ball screens, and the assist to turnover ratio, I think it's 216 to 71 or something like that. So it's just averaging almost 9 assists a game. So it's like I said, and obviously a exciting place to play where they really support their team, and two really good teams going at it. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Nick?
Greg, obviously you touched on it a little bit with Kaufman Wren. Of course, there are more opportunities now with Edie gone, but
Right.
What have you seen kind of him add to his offensive arsenal, and how important will it be to maybe get him in foul trouble? Like
Yeah,
Michigan?
I think Matt told me years ago, and I think when Trey was a freshman, he thought he had the potential to be an all-conference player if he continued to develop. And obviously, you're waiting in line behind Zach, rightfully so. But I think he's changed his body. He's slimmer. He's more cut. I think his mobility's gotten better. He doesn't play on the perimeter or shoot threes, but they get him in the pinch post, or they get him in ball screens and him at the nail, and he's pretty explosive from there and powerful. I think he's developed his offensive game around the rim specifically. So, and then he goes to the glass. He's pretty hungry on the glass. So I think just for him, he's evolved into a really good player, a high-level player for them, and they put him in good positions. And I think that's always the mark as I watch other teams. How do they utilize their individuals within the concept of their team? And that's a mark of a good coach and a good coaching staff, that they got Braden doing what he does best. They put Trey in positions where he does what he does best. Lawyer running around banging threes. So, like I said, they're a well put together group.
Greg, when you watch Braden, where's the majority? How does he get the majority of his assists? Do you see a lot of it just good ball movement? Do you see a lot of him driving and kind of kicking it back out? What's kind of the way that he's able to probe defenses to be successful in that way?
Yeah, I mean puts pressure on you in a variety of ways, because he's improved. I mean, he shoots a lot of mid range, but he makes a lot of them. And he's really good along the baseline if he gets there. I think primarily in a lot of middle ball screens, but they move him around, and so it's a little harder to just say, okay, don't let him do it, because they'll play him a little bit off the ball. They'll run him off some actions and free him up, because everybody's tried to guard him, 100 different ways. But primarily he's, in the middle of the floor, in the middle third, playing typically with Kaufman Wren in that, not always, but most of the time, and that's kind of a Stockman-Malone combination, or Stockton-Malone combination, so to speak. So he's just really smart and savvy, and he's competitive as heck. He's a winner. He has an air of confidence about him.
The lineup with Stephen Nolan sharing the floor seems to be showing up a little bit more frequently now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what's led to your increased comfort there, and I guess what more do you want that to develop?
Yeah, I think it's, in a perfect world, you play them all the time together, but from a fatigue standpoint, and you have to, who's going to be our bigger backup five? So I've got to be cognizant of, not that I don't want Nolan and Steve playing together, but the more I play them together, the more I have to rest them. So just that combination. A lot of it's the the feel of a game. You know, if I feel we can, if we're in a good enough position from a fatigue standpoint, neither one of them we're able to manage with timeouts and stoppages and things like that. And then what's happening around them, meaning what's going on with Gilmore, what's going on with Amos, are we in foul trouble somewhere else? So it's never with a script. I start the game with the script, obviously, to get them out there together. But then after that first roll of substitutions, it's a lot on gut feel and what I'm observing and seeing. So, if they're out there together, it's usually intentional, and it's usually not based on can I get them there together. It's for last weekend's case, Gilmore got in foul trouble, and then Gilmore fouled out. So sometimes it's dictated by things that it's a cause and effect circumstance where maybe they're together because of something else happened, not because I intentionally planned on having them together, specifically once we get to the back half of the first half and back half of the second half.
Carly and then Michael.
I imagine it's hard to win on the road all season, but what kind of mentality is it going to take from your team to go into Mackey and come away with a top 25 win like this?
Yeah, just the same approach we've had. I don't think we don't make a big deal about being at home, or make a big deal about going on the road. Preparation stays the same. We know, it's a great college basketball environment, but it's a great college basketball environment because the team is typically very good. So that makes the environment. You never see a good environment with a bad team. It doesn't work that way. So, that'll be the focus. It's going to be on those guys in white or black or gold or whatever they wear that day, and focusing on that and playing how we know we can play. And if we have some highs, keep going. If we have some lows, there's some bumps in the road, got to keep playing and play through it and be aggressive. And like I said, it's your success or failure is mostly dependent on the guys in the other jerseys, not in those people in the stands yelling and stuff. They can't score and they can't play defense. And so we'll focus on our direct opponent in front of us.
With lineups, obviously, you're not going to do anything that doesn't impact winning now, but whether it be small lineups or big lineups, I guess, is there anything do you put any value into prepping something for March where maybe you have to throw a different look at a team or a team throws a different look at you?
Well, I think we've been in a lot of situations where we've had different looks on the floor. I mean, whether it's been, with Gilmore at the 4 and one of those other guys at the 5, or Amos. I've even had Gilmore at the 5 at times. So I've had Tanjay at the 4 as we've come through the year. We've done less of that lately just because of Gilmore and Amos's emergence. But I think we have played a lot of different combinations. I've used Janicki at the point, obviously McGee and Blackwell, and have been there as well. But so I think we've seen a lot of different things, and I think we have the flexibility and the versatility within our lineup that if we have to adjust or something specifically is causing an issue for us, we have the capacity to mix and match and counter what's being done to us.
Offensively, you talk a lot about, or sometimes you talk about points per possession. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm wondering from a defensive standpoint, what's kind of the ideal number you're looking for there that you say, hey, if we get this number, hey, we got a good chance to be successful?
Yeah, it's typically stayed the same, right around or under 1 point per possession. Obviously, that's the goal. I think we haven't come up with scientific facts behind it, but I think both those numbers in terms of offense and defense may have increased a little bit as time is, meaning how the game has changed, like with the emphasis more on offense, that maybe you raise both those numbers a little bit. But by and large, our benchmark's 1 point per possession, and so we don't try to. I said I pay attention. I study the analytics, but I'm not gonna get paralysis by analysis too much with it. The number basically, I think there's only been one game where we have held opponent under a point per possession and not won the game, and that was Michigan here. And that was really related to our offense and our inefficiency than it was what we did defensively. The numbers bear that out. I think we were both at .9 something in that game. But by and large, a long-winded answer to your question, Mark, it's still roughly 1.0.
Hey, Greg. I know you watch a lot of film and a lot of the folks around the Big Ten. Did you get a chance to watch Michigan Purdue the other night? And if so, is there anything that you took away from Michigan kind of being able to hold, aside from like Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Kaufman Wren, the other role players in check for this game?
Well, I mean, those three, as I mentioned, I don't think that's an anomaly that they take the majority of their shots. They have all year. Michigan was able to make some plays. They got an offensive rebound, and I think Burnett hit a 3 off the offensive rebound. Golden was able to get through a post double and score, and then they were able to, either get a turnover, get a defensive rebound, and hold them off just enough. So both teams were obviously a little different than Michigan. So there's some things you take from it. There's some things that don't apply, and I think that's as you look through whether I watch them against Maryland or Iowa or, you name it. There's things that apply and are we can draw from, and then there's things that just quite frankly doesn't fit us, whether it be personnel or scheme or what have you. You're looking at two programs here that have traditionally, in the last 25, 30 plus years, have been as consistent as anybody in our league, along with Michigan State. We've all had our ups and downs. I think even Matt's finished in last place in the league at least twice in his time at Purdue. But the consistency that these two programs have played with and have performed with, and I think this year's another good example with all that he lost from last year with Edey and being able to put a really good team back on the floor. It's more about what I think understanding who you are and who you are not as a program, and continually striving towards that. I think that's what's made us successful, even though we've had some adjustments here and there. By and large, we're stayed true to who we are traditionally. And Purdue, from Gene to Matt, have been very similar in terms of, they understand what makes them good and what can be successful at Purdue that may not work at school X, Y, or Z, and they stay true to the things that have withstood the test of time.
Nick?
Greg, defensive all-conference honors often about steals, blocks. I know that this group and John Blackwell himself a lot more fixated on wins than numbers, but how would you kind of categorize some of his impact defensively?
Yeah, I think he's gotten better. I think the understanding that he can be a defensive difference maker, and really turn the screws on an individual, so to speak, defensively has grown, and he's understood and valued that more as the years gone on. And I think our defense typically has always been based on the sum of the parts and not necessarily, we've had good individual players. We've had shot blockers here or there that maybe numbers jump off the page or steals or those type of things. But by and large, our defense is based on committee and how we do it systematically. And if you have a really good instinctual defensive player and they find their way in there, then they excel. Then those numbers start to jump. But by and large, we defend, we build our defense based as a team defense, and then the individuals that can excel in those areas shine through. And I think John, the biggest thing with John is just both Johns really. Just looking at personalities, they're very consistent. They're very steady. They don't get too high. They don't get too low. I can't rile them up. I don't really have to pick them up. They're just steady eddies, so to speak. And I think that helps. Just stay the course. And there's going to be really good times, and there's going to be rough times, and right within a game. And how you balance those and how you respond to those, I think, again, I go back to I talked about consistency of a program, consistency within the players within that program, I think are important in terms of your mindset and how you approach, each game, each day, each possession. So steadiness is really, I think, a word that comes to mind with John.
We'll go Donnie and then Mark.
How you doing, Greg? Something that we've heard, sentiment that we've heard from you and players throughout the entire season is just about the chemistry of this group and how much they seem to, genuinely, like playing with each other. We've heard that talked a lot about this season. But what are the sources of that? What are the factors that go into that? I mean, especially with a group with a lot of new faces.
Yeah, I think it really comes back to having and finding the right pieces, and you'll say, okay, you have to find somebody that can score 18 a game or can shoot 38% from three, and that is important. That's a factor of it, but it's also about the type of people that they are and what are their motivating factors, and not that we don't want people that have individual goals. We all have individual goals, and they should have, but the willingness to buy in and be consumed with winning first. And I think when you have a group that's like-minded like that, it allows you to, and really don't care about individual accolades, it allows that chemistry to grow. Because you can have, I've said before, you can have really talented players, but if they're not connected, or I've kind of patented the term chemically imbalanced, then it's not going to work. I mean, we've seen that. You can point to a lot of talented rosters around the country that aren't 500 or are not going to be in postseason play, and quite frankly have big payrolls. And that's a piece of it. Those are all pieces of it. You have to have talent. You have to be financially competitive in today's world. But if you don't have that connectivity and that connection and that chemistry, and I'm not saying you have to all be best friends and sit around, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya, but they understand. They enjoy playing the game with each other. They enjoy competing against each other in practice, and they enjoy when it's time we all get the same color jersey on. They enjoy going out united as a group, and that's fun to watch. As a coach, it's fun to be a part of, because you've got a player-led team, and typically your player-led teams end up being your best-led teams versus a coach-led team. So when you got players that take that responsibility and understand it and run with it, it makes it a lot of fun, which this group is.
Greg, to piggyback off your comment a couple questions ago about staying kind of true to who you are as a program, I guess I'm just wondering, what does that mean at Wisconsin? Staying true to who you are.
Well, I think you have fundamental or core values or principles that you're anchored to, and understanding who you are in terms of what type of person can have success at this university. And I'm not talking about just basketball, because we still go to class and getting a degree is still important and a high priority. So how do you balance all those things? How do you balance living in Madison? How do you balance in a mindset of having a team-oriented group? What's important to you? And I think understanding what works at this place, and what has worked, and you can walk through back through the last quarter century. There's been a lot of similarities in terms of the DNA. I mean, we've tweaked a little bit here or there with how we play. I know this year's getting more made of it, but by and large, it's fundamentally sound. It's toughness. It's togetherness. It's doing it as a unit, as a team. And we have star players, and we've had NBA draft picks and all that, and they come and they go. But the consistency of your approach and your consistency of your foundation allow you to sustain success, or you're not a flash in the pan when a great player shows up and then you go back in the tank when you don't have a draft pick. We've been able to be really, really competitive and not necessarily always roll out a lineup of McDonald's All-Americans, but we've been able to beat a lot of teams that have those type of stars behind their name. So I saw a good quote the other day from Bill Belichick. He said, as I get more experience, I'm less enamored with the stars and more enamored with the constellation, what they all compose together. And I think that's a great analogy. And obviously he's got a hell of a lot more experience and success than I'll ever have. But just you see beyond the individual stuff, and how can in a team sport, how a team can come together. And then, like I said, understanding that. And Purdue's done that really well. I think Tom's done that really well at Michigan State. I think we've done it really well through, going back to even Coach Bennett, of understanding what this place is about, understanding the state, understanding what type of player you can recruit, what type of player you can't recruit, what type of player will have success here on and off the court, what type of person won't. So all those things come into play as you evaluate who you want. And bottom line, we do really well with good people, and I got a locker room full of them right now, and they're really good players, and they're about the right things, and yeah, they all have individual motives and goals and those things, but when it comes time to all go after something together, it's a united front. And like I said, we've been very fortunate over the 20 plus years I've been here that we've had, a constant stable of a united front, and the alums take great pride in that. I got 4 of them on my staff. So that helps, that not that you don't grow and change and morph in the future because you have to, but I think having a great appreciation and understanding, and you've seen what works, and staying as true to that as you can. At the same time, continue to advance and grow and adjust and keep getting better.
We'll go Jocko and then Ben.
Jocko,
Hi, Coach.
hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. This
Were you up
kind
in
of-
Eau Claire last night covering Pioneers?
I did not go to
Bluegrass?
Eau Claire, but I did
So
talk
were
to
your
you.
affiliate?
I talked to your brother. We did get that from your affiliate, our
Okay.
affiliate, but it's good to talk to your brother. Hey, speaking of brotherhood, I know this is a shorter trip for you guys, but is it good to get away from, maybe Madison for a little bit to kind of bond a little bit more? I know you talked a little bit about how this team has come together, but to get away from everybody else and be together, even though it's a short trip, but just
Yeah,
to
I
see each
mean,
other's faces.
I think anytime you can have time together, it's important to bond and to develop relationships. I mean, we've had a lot of them. I think this is 6 out of the last 8 games we've been on the road. But I'm probably more concerned to check in with your weatherman. Are we getting 6 inches of snow again in West Lafayette? Is it going there? I know we're supposed to get more here. That's probably one reason why is it a good window to get out of here, although I don't know if we'll beat it out. But I think any opportunity, home, road, that travel, anytime you can spend some time together and continue to bond, that can only help you as you go forward.
Ben.
Greg, 2-part. Does your staff is the goal around 1.2 points per, at least 1.2 offensively? Is that kind of the
It
neighborhood?
varies. It varies by game.
Okay.
Based on what we get from our analytic company, based on competition, based on what their numbers tell us or tell the computer experts, so to speak. So it varies.
I think in 4 of the last 5, you've been around 1.1. I know it's you guys had that long streak of had 80 a game, and it's been a little less. Do you still like how the offense has been functioning, the ball movement, and the shot selection for the most part? over
Yeah, I
this
think
stretch?
shot selection's been good, and shot selection usually improves as the ball movement improves. They're tied to each other. And every game's going to be a little different because you're going to have different number of possession games, and the flow maybe do a little different. So I think our goal in terms of what we analytically get on paper fluctuates. I mean, I've seen it as high as 1.17 as a goal based on what the opponent's strengths and weaknesses were. I haven't dug into this one yet, and I wouldn't say it even if I knew it because it's enemy information. But no, it's like I said, with Mark's question, it's roughly 1.0, and typically when we're above that, which I think, I've tasked my video guy with, should it be 1.10? Should it be 1.05? Should it be 1.07? Is our offensive target move up given how the game has changed? 20-second reset, faster pace, more fouls, and then does that also impact defensively? I haven't got a concrete factual-based evidenced answer on that, but if we can be in that 1.1 range, 1.15, then unless we're Swiss cheese defensively, we're typically in a good position.
Start. You have obviously a big matchup on tap this weekend. Just what are you feeling as you go into this huge road test for your team, and how's the team prepared, do you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, we've had a week to to prepare. These past couple days, we've even done a little earlier than usual, but obviously they're a great team. It's a top 25 matchup on the road, and Mackey, which gets rocking. So I think we're all just really excited for the opportunity to go over there and play, and hopefully pick up a win this weekend.
Steve, you look at the analytics. You and Purdue are very similar offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
The metrics are very close. How are you similar to what they like to do on both sides of on both ends of the floor?
I think the pace of plays similar from what I've watched. We haven't watched too much film yet, but today we'll dive into that. And I just think the pace of play, I think they're really well balanced. You can't really focus on one guy. Obviously, they have Braden Smith and the big fella, but their role players are great. And so I think those are the two big things that stand out to me so far. And obviously, they're well coached. They play defense, and like I said earlier, at home they're as is every team at home. You're a little bit different beast, and it's gonna be rocking. We're excited for it for sure.
Does that make them easier to prepare for because they're similar to you in that way, or is it challenging because of how similar they are to you?
I don't think either way it sways too much. I think not having seen them yet this year, they're kind of a whole different team without Edie. They got a bunch of new guys. I don't think that really matters this year because, like I said, they have a bunch of new guys, and it's almost a whole new team.
The way that things kind of were scheduled, I guess a lot of your bigger games were kind of packed into this stretch towards the end of the season. Do you guys, given where the standings are, do you feel like you have a real opportunity here over the next several weeks?
I think so. I think, like I said earlier, we're all excited and we're all confident and about the opportunities we've been given at the end of the season. Purdue, Illinois, Michigan State, those are all big games for us, and I think we control our own destiny. So just worrying about one game at a time, trying to get the wins, and everything else will take care of itself then.
Stephen, what's this team like on the road? Is it fun to get away, to kind of get away from Madison a little bit? I know that West Lafayette is beautiful this time of year. It's probably much warmer than Wisconsin, but
Yeah.
but what is it like? What is you guys kind of band together a little bit more?
I think you have to on the road. Otherwise, I don't think you'll win if you don't band together and come together as a team. Obviously, Mackey's one of the craziest places and the best places to play in the country. So, like I said, we're going to be there for, I think, less than 24 hours almost with the noon game. So we're not going to experience the campus as much or anything like that. But we're going in there to try to handle business and play hard and hopefully get the win, like I said.
Steve, lots been made about the strides that the team's made defensively these last few games, and part of that has been, the Bigs' ability to kind of help on the screens and then get back, and the team to kind of recover. What's gotten better with that, and what's kind of the key to making that whole part of the defense work?
Yeah, I think just learning from our mistakes earlier this year, or even when we win, there's certain things that could be better. So the coaches have been good about watching the film and helping me, Nolan, Carter, X out on those things that we need to be better at. And so I think the big things, we're going in more prepared. As big guys, I can say we're going in more prepared and have a better plan of what we're trying to do for the game for sure.
Obviously, you guys start together, but there was a period of the season where you and Nolan didn't really share the court a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's becoming a little bit more frequent now. I guess,
Yeah.
what were some of the things that you were working through early in the season, and what's better now that you could share the
Yeah.
floor a little bit more?
I think having two quote-unquote 5 men or 7-footers out there can be a little bit of adjustment at times, especially if neither of us have really ever done that in our career. So, but like you said, more recently we've been playing together a little bit, and it's been fun. And obviously it's matchup dependent too on the teams we're guarding. A lot of teams don't have two bigs out there, so it's hard to put us both out there at the same time. But when there's opportunities to play with Nolan, it's been fun, and hopefully we get a few more down the stretch here for sure.
Do you feel like going into Purdue, a huge matchup, is kind of giving you like March vibes?
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like it's kind of like a prelim to what's to come in the future. Like I said, I've played there a few times in my career, and every time I've been there, whether it's over winter break, even when there aren't students, it's rocking. So I'm sure noon on a Saturday, it's going to be buzzing in there, and I'm excited for some of the new guys to see how it is in there, and hopefully we can pick up a win.
Steve, I know you said you're getting a little bit more into the film this next day or two, but obviously Michigan just took them down. They were able to get Kaufman Wren and First into some foul trouble. Just what can you maybe take from that, and how imperative would that be to test their depth?
Yeah, no, it's huge. I think not only for them, but for any team. If you get into their bench and get some of their main guys in foul trouble, it's obviously going to help you a little bit, especially if it's their main 2 or 3 guys. But like I told Mark, just watching the film, trying to be better as bigs, and just listening to what the coaches tell us, I think is the big thing, and going out there and doing it actually, rather than just listening and then not transferring into the game, just going out there playing hard, and hopefully that leads to a win for sure.
Yeah, so all season long, Coffin, Wren, and Smith, that duo has kind of given a lot of teams trouble. What kind of challenges do they pose from your perspective?
I think just obviously Braden Smith's one of the best passers in the country, so they have great chemistry in that pick and roll, and Kaufman Redden's made himself a great player, and he's showing it this year. So I think just the chemistry between those two that's formed in a short amount of time, because it's been Edie for so long. I think it's been the big thing for them, and like I said to him, just trying to shut those two down as much as we can, and will be the key for us for sure.
Steve, it feels like you've been on a consistent stretch here of being doubled constantly offensively, especially against Iowa. It feels like you had two guys flying to the entire time. Do you feel more comfortable handling that now than, say, you did a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago? Because maybe your offense numbers aren't as high, but the rebounding and the assists, and even the blocks have started to go up for you.
Yeah, I think I'm getting more comfortable, and not only me, but I think the team around me is getting more comfortable, because they're getting used to seeing the extra guy come towards me, and just trying to play out of it as a team, I think, is the big thing. And I've had a few turnovers here and there, but for the most part, I think my teammates are doing a great job of helping me out when the double does come. And yeah, that's about it.
Hey, John, Steve had said you're just starting to get a little bit more into the film, but what has kind of stood out about Braden Smith's play? Obviously scoring, but the way he can play make, and I think he went the full 40 earlier this week.
I mean, he's a great player, and he knows how to make reads when he's on the ball. And then, you know, different teams have thrown like different schemes and stuff at him, but he's done really good going against it. I think with him, we just, when he gives up the ball, try not to, you know, let him get it back late shot clock, or just limit his touches and make other people make plays. So I think that's what we reviewed in film, and then obviously going over these next 2 days.
Mark.
John, I know after the game at Iowa, you were pretty happy with your initial impressions of how you guys played defensively, but you said you kind of want to see what the film showed and the analytics. What did it show, and were there, what kind of stands out to you now after, having that chance to take that closer look at what you guys did last weekend?
Yeah, with the film show, I think we did a great job the second half playing defense, just being bought in and just having fight to us defensively. And then it just showed, like, obviously you're going to get beat. You're going to get, rocked off the dribble. These are good players in the Big Ten. But it just, if we have each other's backs throughout that, it just helps us defensively, just taking care of each other and just having each other's back, like I said.
Jacko.
John, what's the excitement level going into Mackey Arena? Top 25 matchup, the crowd, the atmosphere, noon game, all that stuff. What's that going to be like?
It's honestly a blessing that we're just in this position going into that game. Mackey is one of my favorite places to play. I love the arena. They have a well-coached team and a good group, even with losing what they had last year. So it's going to be a fun matchup, and, can't wait.
Carly.
Yeah, just going off of that, what do you think it's going to take from your team to come away with the victory?
I think most importantly, our defense and being together. Going on the road is always a tough challenge because, you're in there and you're not home, and they have that advantage. So I think if we're together, we play defense, and, I think that will win us the game.
Donnie and then Michael.
Hi, John. I'm curious, is there any extra initiative to finish strong this season based on kind of how things unraveled a little bit last season and even before you got here, just within the locker room?
Yeah, obviously you want to finish the season strong. Good teams get hot around these times, and I think we're trying to focus on that, and then just keep building off each win. We're not looking ahead at any opponent, but we're just focused on the game at task.
You guys included some of the top teams in the Big Ten are starting to play each other in this final stretch. I guess with some of the games that you guys have ahead of you, like what kind of opportunity do you feel like you have to kind of where the standings are, separate yourselves a little bit?
Yeah, I think we have a great opportunity to, finish in the top of the Big Ten. We just got to stay locked in and stay focused. I think it's a great way to, get ready for March and what that presents. And going forward.
Jacob.
You guys have, turned heads really all season long, but this week feels bigger. What would it mean for you guys to come out with a win on Saturday against like top 10 team on the road? Would it mean anything extra?
Yeah, obviously it'll mean something extra. The road games are even tougher to win, so I think we all have trust in each other going on the road, and I think we all have trust in each other going into each game. But I feel like the guys just think it's another game, and we're going to approach it the same way we do every game. I think we just got to be mentally locked in, especially going on the road. But after we get the win, we're just going to we're not going to be satisfied. We're going to want more going into the coming weeks, yeah.
Michael.
You said Mackey's one of your favorite places to play. You obviously only played there once, but it was a good game for you. But I guess what are some of your memories from that game, and just what did you learn about kind of how you respond to environments like that?
Yeah, you're right. I did play there once, but I think like throughout where we traveled to the road games, I think that and Assembly Hall was one of my favorites to play at. But yeah, I don't know, the environment there is different. I don't know, it feels louder in there when you get under like the basket and stuff. And I think when you miss 2 free throws in a row, they get chicken nuggets or something like that. So that's just a fun place to play, and I like what they do there. And yeah.